Let's chat, guys. We're recording after a hobby weekend. I'll try to touch on some of the topics of the hobby. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Check my audio. I'm just gonna assume it's working good, and assume you can hear that this episode is brought to you by Bleecker Trading and Arena Club. The hobby of the cage. You see the title, guys, and you're like, "What the hell is he talking about?" The hobby parlay, the double gamble, and it's something I've been thinking about. It really is something I've been thinking about recently, and for many folks here, gonna be like, oh, so what? This is obvious. Mm, I'm not sure it's obvious to everybody. And I think that, the tide has changed a little bit over the last, I don't want to say 6 months, a year, 12 months, 18 months, whatever it might be. But the hobby double gamble. We've all known about the gamble of wax for a long time. That's always kind of been that way ever since the 90s when they started putting inserts into boxes, when they started having what you would call a chase card, right? The hobby has always had a gambling element to it. I remember opening boxes of 1994, SP 1993 SP baseball was the first one. It was crazy. Obviously, 93 was for me the big chase for inserts and you name it, because you had refractors from 93 baseball. But I remember 93 SP baseball trying to chase the one per box platinum power, they were called, right? And if you got Darren Dalton, you were like, oh, skunked. But if you got Griffey, you were doing all right, Barry Bonds, you were doing all right. People weren't really looking for Jeter back in 93, I got to tell you. They were looking for those platinum powers in the box. Then 94 SP, you were looking for your hollow views, your all pro, the hologram, the die cut if you were really lucky. And, Zenith came out and had rookie roll calls and, Dufex cards. Just, obviously then it spurred into real chases of, autograph cards and, limited inserts and numbered cards and jersey cards in 96. So there's always been a gamble aspect to it. Now, obviously, it's a gamble on steroids, right? It's a gamble on crack. You're opening any box has a chance of pulling, a major lottery ticket. Any box has a chance of pulling a one in a couple of 100,000 pack card, right? Any box of just tops has a chance of pulling the MLB debut, Skeens or whatever that chase is, whatever that card that's going to have a bounty on it. But what's funny about it is, and anybody who's listened to me over the last, I don't know how many years it is now, knows, and I've talked about this, I never minded buying the hobby boxes when they came out, in the beginning, because it was fun to open up with my son. They were at a price point that made sense. Fun, hell, let's not use my son. It was fun to open up for myself. You know what I mean? It was nostalgia, right? It was great to open up a jumbo box, hell, a jumbo case, right? Because I had a shot at getting something, but I also was, maybe I'll put a set of them together. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll pull out some cards that I like and put them in a binder. But the key there, though, at the end was I was able to also offset some of the costs. I know I'm not the only one out there who did this, so go with me here, okay? I remember opening up, Topps boxes where, it depends how far back you want to go, right? But I remember the tide kind of changing after this year. Heck, it was your Dan Alvarez and Bo Bichette rookies. And, obviously, you want to go back a year before that, you got your 2019s, you got your 2018s, you got your Acuñas, and you got your Sotos, and you got your Tatis and your Alonso, and you were opening these boxes. It was pre-pandemic, but there was still a little bit of a boom in the cards. And I remember buying a hobby jumbo box, $100, $125, and you bought these boxes, and it was fine, right? You bought these boxes, and even if you didn't hit anything, even if you didn't get your lottery ticket, you weren't so much gambling, because you knew that there was this kind of second chance, right? You knew there was a floor, and I'm not talking about repack floor. You knew you'd send in your best rookies. You'd grade them $10. You'd get them back in a few weeks or a month, and you'd sell the rookie cards for, that one rookie that you knew you were getting in a box. You were going to get that Yordan Alvarez. You were going to get that, that Alonso or that Soto. You were going to get those, and you were able to sell it for a good chunk of what you paid for the box. Whether it was 50%, 40%, 80%. I mean, if you were lucky enough to hit a parallel, a refractor, or a numbered, forget about it. You were doing great, even though that wasn't the lottery ticket you were going for. And heck, even if you got it back with a 9, those rookie cards, they had some value. You were able to sell them for, an amount, right? I remember. Now we're going to talk about like the peak of it. I want to throw that out too, where I was getting, $350 each for a base Tatis Topps rookie card. I mean, that was, swing the pendulum to the other direction, right? But you could get a good price for a 9. Anyway, this is what I mean by the hobby parlay, the hobby double gamble. See, parlays are what you hear about all the time. You hear about, I was this close to hitting a parlay. I was 4 yards away from hitting this massive parlay. And when you hear the gambling houses, I can't call them casino now, the sports books, right? You hear these sports books doing promotions. It's, hey, grab this parlay. Hey, hit a parlay and get paid this much, blah, blah, blah. Well, the reason why they push that is it's really hard to win. Multiple things have to happen. You could be right more often than not and still lose your money. And the hobby, to me, has become a parlay if you're looking to have some of that money come back in your pocket. Now, keep in mind, there might be people out there saying, you're not buying cards to make money. Okay, that's fine. It's a valid point. You're 100% right. But I'm able to be more of a hobby participant when I'm able to open more with my son and continue to defray the costs of the next opening by bringing back money from those prior opening, right? So if I'm opening $500 worth of wax per week, round number, guys, just throw it out there, right? If I'm opening $500 per wax per week, I don't do that, but let's just say, but if I get back 400 of that, the next week I only have to put $100 in. You know what I mean? But if I'm only getting back 100 of my 500, I got to keep finding this money every week. And I'm not able to defray the cost going forward. And heck, it hurts going in your pocket that much. And, you don't go into it with the same kind of like, all right, well, don't worry about it. Even if we don't hit that monster, if we don't hit that big card, yeah, we'll be all right. We'll get something back and be able to try again next week. Here's the difference. I've already come on here and talked about the first gamble being an uphill one, that opening your boxes and getting something in them and being able to sell it for some of your money back. And the cost of the boxes have gone up, the value of what's in the boxes have gone down. That's how folks make money, right? They're getting more from you for less. But then at the same time, I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe the people at the top of the house of PSA, I'm just speaking anecdotally from my own stuff, right? I mean, I'm sure if we pull up gem rate, they're going to have a, hey, the gem rates are the same. They're, the same. Maybe they are. And maybe they are. But what I've noticed is it's harder to get a 10 for me. And maybe it's because everybody else out there is now cleaning cards. And in order to get a 10 now, you have to have a card that's been cleaned and juiced and rubbed and shined and spit on and whatever the hell else. And that my cards that are just going in a sleeve from a pack are never going to be 10s because I'm not restoring them. It's amazing to think about it that way, right? I'm just taking a card out of a pack and trying to grade it. I'm not spit shining the damn thing. And is it fair to say I'm the one getting punished for that? Maybe I got to start doing that. I don't know. I mean, this is kind of, maybe it's how Barry Bonds felt when everybody was celebrating Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa And the whole world knew they were on steroids, and maybe that's why he went out and went on whatever he went on and started hitting home runs. Maybe the reason I'm getting 9s is because I'm not putting the extra pine tar on the bat. I don't know. I mean, it's amazing that we even have to have that conversation. But anyway, the point is, after I've done my first gamble, because buying that box, you're buying a parlay now if you do it the way I do. It's not just gambling on the box. Box could hit. But even if it does, even if you get the schemes that you want, even if you get the right rookie, you got to hope it comes back as a 10, because you're now doubling down on your bet, right? You're paying more money to now grade the card. And more often than not, and go ahead and do your research on this with the ultra modern cards, your card comes back a 9, which is a mint grade. It's a good grade. Your card comes back a 9. You might as well have just sold it raw and not spent the money to grade it. You're basically losing money. So you're buying a box and losing money. You're taking your second chance, which used to be the way to get some of that money back, and you're just losing more money. And what's funny about it is I know that there's a segment of people who are pairing up their cards, and they are, not rubbing juice on the cards. They're rubbing the cards on themselves. They got their slabs, and they're taking a nice hot bath with their cards and lighting candles and getting all romantic about it. But for the rest of you guys who are, who don't live with your moms anymore, this is a real conversation that I'm having, because I don't give a shit if you're an investor or a collector. I could care less about those names, right? Because I just think the majority of the people in this space are both. And a lot of people came back in and had some fun doing this. They ripped and flipped. Oh, what a dirty word. They ripped and flipped. And part of the ripping and flipping was this grading. You open your cards, you sent them in, you got some 10s, and hey, you were able to sell those and rip some more. And the circle of life continued. Hakuna Matata. Well, when did Scar take over? Man. The Pride Lands. Looking a little dreary. Because you got to hit a parlay, man. You got to get them both right. You got to get the box that has something good in it. And then even if it's got the good thing in it, you got to pay to get it out and grade it and get the right grade. And it's harder and harder and harder to do this. And I got to tell you, it's not just me saying this. Like, oh, look at Cage. He's on another one of his tilts. I get a lot of messages about this. I get a lot of people who this was what they enjoy doing. And, if you're listening to this and be like, what are there 3 people out there? No way, man. That was part of what blew this whole thing back up. People felt like entrepreneurs doing this. Seriously. Like, I'm a flipper. And people told them to come in and do this. And I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you can't do it anymore, those people are gone. And I know there are some people out there saying, good riddance, see you later. I'd love to have a fix for it, but I don't. And here's the scary part. Now I'll get into the hobby weekend in a second. The machine is still rolling. The gambling of it, the hobby parlay, the double gamble, the gambling of it is just getting more gambling. And the companies are doing a great job, right? They understand the media out there, understand what the breakers are doing. Because I watch my son on his phone, and I'll think he's playing a video game or he's sending a text message. And he's not. He's watching somebody else play a video game. I'm like, dude, are you playing? He's like, no, this guy's doing this, and I'm learning how to do this, this, and this. And then yesterday, he's like, hey, we're watching a football game. He's like, look, Mealy Pops is live. He goes on Instagram, and he's live. I said, what are they doing? I don't know. I'm just watching them. This is the culture coming up. They're on YouTube. They watch shorts. They watch all this stuff. And it's halftime in the football game last night, and my son says, hey, Dad, somebody just pulled this really awesome one-of-one Jack Castiglione's. This is what he says. I'm like, who's that? He's like, he's the next big guy. I'm like, oh yeah, what team? He's like, I don't know, but they just pulled a one-on-one relic. And he goes, but you know what? He hasn't played yet, so they can't have a game-used relic. They just drafted him. So you know what they put in? They put in a piece of the ping pong ball from the draft lottery. I didn't look this up. I don't care if he's right or wrong. That's not the point. The point is, here's my 11-year-old being fed this. A player who, yeah, I've heard you guys talk about him, but only because I'm on Instagram in the hobby, with this stuff in my face. Jack Castellone, whatever the frig you're going to call it. My son, he can pitch and he can hit. He's Ohtani, but better. Get the hell out of here. Talk about the hype machine, right? He's ready to go. Where's my allowance? I want a piece of this ping pong ball. So the machine knows what it's doing. That hype machine, that word of mouth, that put it in the product in the hands of the breakers. Let the breakers go and be the mouthpiece, be the Don West, you buy this $39.99 deal. You're not a loser anymore. That girl's going home with you because you're a winner. It's the same shit. Only they know who they're feeding it to. And they're doing a damn good job of it. They're getting you to gamble. I don't mind a little gamble if you know that that's what you're coming into, but hell, every once in a while, I just sit back and think this deck is really stacked against us. I really do. That's what I think. And look, it is what it is. I would love it if it wasn't, but that's what I think it is. And one last thing, I was not at the Philly show because it's another hobby relevant thing, right? It really is. And I wasn't at the Philly show, so I can't comment on the thefts. But I will tell you, as an outsider looking in, right, from the Philly show this past weekend, there was a lot of content about theft, right? I don't know how many there were, but it seems to be the only content coming out. The only things that I got from the Philly show this past weekend were someone stole from me, and somebody messaged me and said this one dealer was way too expensive. But other than that, that's all I got. I've been to the Philly show. I took my son to the Philly show more than one time. I've always felt safe there. I've never felt like walking around as an unsafe show. So, that kind of narrative I already dismiss, as kind of stupid, right? I understand putting the content out there about the theft, right? We're going to catch this guy. You don't want people to do it. We're going to, prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. People put signs up, in their restaurants and their stores about that. If you're caught and if you're found, but it's just another one of those things, man. The content out there is that who the hell is going to come into the space? Who the hell is going to do this? And I mean, I'm not telling you not to do it, right? But it's a real double-edged sword. I'll get some more details about it. Like I said, it wasn't there, so I don't want to speak about it too much. But, my commentary on it is twofold. One, I mean, man, it was everywhere. But two, more importantly, like from a personal standpoint, I was not there this weekend. So I guess maybe it could have changed. But I've been there on multiple occasions and, I have my son walking around. Sometimes, not exactly right next to me. And it's not like I'm like, oh, wow, this is an unsafe, I walk in the city the other day. Saturday, it's crowded. It's holiday time. I'm not letting them go. Philly show, you want to walk around a little, go ahead. So I wouldn't say it's an unsafe place, which is kind of the impression I was getting from a lot of the content. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to touch on that at the end and give my 2 cents on the Philly show. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this stuff. I wanted to come on here this morning. The double gamble, I'm getting back a lot of PSA returns, and man, they have just kicked me in the nuts. I haven't seen beatings like this since somebody put a banana down my pants and turned the monkey loose. Anybody know what movie that's from? That'd be pretty funny. Today's episode brought to you by Bleecker Trading and Arena Club. Check out Bleecker. They got trade nights going on all over the place. They got holiday promotions. Go check them out. Check them out on the web. They always have stuff going on. And, slab packs at Arena Club. Talk to you guys soon. I'll do another one of these, maybe 2, as the holidays come, and have more time. You guys might get some rapid fire episodes. Talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody.